Hello everybody and welcome to the hobby room. It's time for another TTT, a tabletop talk or a Tamiya Thursday talk. And today we're gonna continue our talk about the DT-02 and DT-03 and some possibilities for tuning and upgrading your two-wheel drive entry level from Tamiya. Now this is part 2, so if you haven't watched part 1 and you're new to the hobby, I suggest you check that video out where we discuss my top 5 of the most basic and essential upgrades. But in this video we're gonna talk about taking it a bit further. Now before we start our talk about upgrading the DT-02 and 03 even further than the last time, I got 2 little points to make to my regular subscribers and friends on this channel. Now this may be my last TTT on this channel. It's for some personal reasons that I don't want to get into right now. This channel is all about RCs and not about me. But yeah, this may be the last TTT, or definitely the last TTT uploaded on a regular basis. I might perhaps throw in a couple of TTCs from now and then, I'm not sure. But if you're digging all the lengthy waffling, then definitely go check out my Nordic Hobby Visions, which is my old chill out personal channel with a more personal approach anyway, where I definitely will continue some tabletop talks in the future, not on a regular basis again, but when I have the time. So maybe I will throw in some TTTs on this channel and maybe I won't, but if you miss my voice, then please go check out my other channel, Nordic Hobby Visions. I definitely got some projects that I will do over there, some vlogs, updates, and I will definitely also show you a little about moving my hobby room and maybe even making an RC track finally this year. But all that will be uploaded on my Nordic Hobby Visions channel. Now the other point that I have to make room for here in the beginning, you can just skip it if you want to. It's gonna take at least a couple of minutes, maybe even more, but it's an issue brought to my attention by RC Birds in the last comment section. At first I just dismissed his idea, but when I started investigating it, it turned out that he was absolutely right. So in part 1 we talked about upgrading the DT-02 and 03 without breaking the warranty on especially the ESCs and motors, but there might be a slight problem with the sport tuned, or especially one of the sport tuned motors, when it comes to breaking the warranty on the standard Tamiya ESCs. Now if you got a DT-02, there's a slight possibility that the included ESC in your kit was a TEU-105 BK. If you got an earlier production batch of the DT-02, there might be even a TEU-101 or 104 in it. The 105 is the one with the BEC and the latest version of the TEU. There might even be production batches of the DT-02, but definitely a lot of the DT-03s. This is a new TBL M02S brushless and brushed ESC, the new standard that replaced these TEU line ESCs. Now it's still a 60A ESC, and their specification for brushed motors is still the same, but of course the new thing with this one is that it can take brushless motors, and we'll get into that later on. Now there's definitely no discussion about LiPo batteries. That's a no-go on these Tamiya ESCs if you want to avoid breaking the warranty. But in my head these were just specified to a maximum of a sport tuned motor, and that is correct. But as RC Bird mentioned, there's also this motor's more than 25 turn added to the sport tuned motor. So these have a maximum of a sport tuned motor or motors over 25 turns. So you're definitely good to go with the RS540 black can sport tuned Mabuchi motor here. Now these are getting out of production and prices are rising on these. These are not the old black cans. I think these were specified to 23 turns, whereas this relatively new, I think 10 or 20 years old, have no specification regarding turns, and there has been a lot of discussion about that on the internet and elsewhere, and I will not get into that, but I think they're rated to 18,300 RPM, yes, and 8.4 volt, so a 7-cell NiCad or NIM battery. So you're definitely good to go with the old new black can here. Now the issue arises when it comes to this one that has replaced the old black one on the market, because this is actually specified to 23 turns, and technically that's below the 25 turn that the standard Tamiya ERCs are rated for. I think it's still rated to the same amount of volts and RPMs, yes, 18,300 and 8.4. So in real life there might be no real difference, but technically you might break the warranty of your Tamiya ERC with the new silver can sport tuned. So thanks a lot, RC Birds. I agree completely now with your point, and I just had to include it here so I don't say anything wrong in the videos and you can decide what you want to run with. So this is good to go regarding the Tamiya warranty. In real life this is also good to go, but you might break the warranty with the silver cane sport tuned. Now that was really a couple of lengthy side notes, and I already have the feeling that this video will go on forever. But yeah, you decide when you want to click stop or watch another video, and I'm just gonna continue waffling. But let's hurry up and get back to the subject of today, upgrading the DT-02 and 03 even further. I have divided this video into 5 main parts. Now in the first segment of this video we're gonna talk about some battery options, especially LiPo and ESC options. In the second segment we're gonna talk about some motor options, both brushed and brushless motor options for the DT-02 and 03. In the third segment we're gonna talk about some weak spots or alloy upgrades or upgrades concerning the durability. In number 4 we will talk about some tire options and wheel options, and connected to that we will talk about some adjustable turnbuckle options that will allow you to adjust your wheel and tire setup. And to conclude it all, we will have a talk about radio options and especially servo options for your steering. Now there definitely are a lot of options upgrading from a standard NIM or nickel metal hydride battery or NiCad or life battery or lithium ion battery to a proper lithium polymer battery, also known as LiPo batteries, that in general are dominating this RC hobby. So a lot of benefits like punch. You will get more acceleration and punch in your vehicle, and you will definitely get a lot better runtime or efficient runtime with these. These hold the voltage up much better than the NIM battery. But there are also a lot of risks and concerns of using these batteries. So before you do that, you better check up on your knowledge about handling these batteries and charging them, storage charging them, and risk about discharging these batteries. But that is for another video, or maybe find a video, an existing video on YouTube. There are a lot of those videos around if you search for it. But upgrade your knowledge about LiPo batteries before you definitely start upgrading your batteries. Now, I will definitely not officially here recommend any use with the standard Tamiya ESCs and any form of LiPo batteries. You will break the warranty and you will run the risk of destroying either the battery or motors or your Tamiya ESC. That being said, I cannot recommend it, but I do run these Tamiya standard ESCs together with a LiPo alarm connected to the balance cable of the LiPo battery, and so far I haven't seen any trouble. But I do know there's other people that have burned their ESCs. I have also done speed runs with the 3S. These are 2S batteries, 7.4 volt, and these are 11.1 volt. These charge to around 12 volt and these charge to around 8.4 volt. But yeah, if you use these, make sure you use a LiPo alarm as a minimum, and then you will definitely do it at your own risk, because there is no warranty, and I will definitely not recommend it to others, even though I am myself stupid enough for running these with LiPos. Now, if you do not want to break any warranty or running any risks of your own, there's definitely a lot of options for LiPo batteries when it comes to brushed ESCs. So you can keep your old motor, silver can or black can, and you can upgrade to a LiPo battery and then upgrade your ESC. Hobbywing makes some cheap one, but there are definitely a lot of other brands available out there. Just make sure that the ESC that you're upgrading to is specified to the battery, the LiPo battery that you are using. That could be a 2S or it could be a maximum of 3S. I definitely see no reasons for running 4S batteries or 4S ESCs in the DT-02 and 03. Already on 3S, the little buggy is getting out of control. So a 2S or a 3S, if you want to do some crazy speed runs with some higher RPM motors and ESCs, you can do that. But as a off-road vehicle for the everyday run, a 2S is plenty enough for a small little vehicle like the DT-02 and 03. Another thing that you need to take into account, especially if your vehicle is a DT-02 like this one, is that the chassis, the DT-02 chassis, was made way before large capacity batteries or LiPo batteries were popular or even standard in this hobby. So these battery trays for the DT-02 are good to go for a lot of larger NIM batteries, but when you start using some bigger square LiPo batteries, you might run into a lot of trouble without having to modify your chassis for it. So a stock DT-02 chassis is not very large. Even this little 3000 milliamps per hour won't go into this socket here underneath. And even these rounded batteries that I use for a lot of my vintage stuff from the 80s and 90s, even these are sometimes a bit too high for the actually battery door here to close properly. So if you want to use a LiPo battery, you could use smaller batteries like this with a proper C rating, or you could go for finding a rounded LiPo battery. This one won't fit because this is too tall here, but there are definitely other LiPo batteries available where you will get approximately the same dimensions as a large nnier battery. But check the size of the battery that you are using in your DT-02. There might be a good chance that it won't fit this old chassis. Now on the DT-02, it's definitely also a matter of which type of battery you're using. This is actually a 3S and this is a 2S, but this is a hard pack and this is a soft pack. And again, the 3S is a lot smaller than the 2S. So soft packs in your DT-02, and definitely some of the benefits that you get with the DT-03 chassis, this is a standard new fighter, is that you have the option of, I'm not sure if I can show it, but removing some foam inserts here and also in the back here, which will make room for much larger batteries. With these soft packs here, you definitely have no problems at all fitting your 3S, a small 3S battery here. But in the case of larger hard cases, you might want to consider removing the foam inserts. That also means that you are not protecting your battery from impacts as much as with the foam inserts, but that is entirely up to your decision. There's definitely a lot of RCs and vehicles running without any foam inserts or protection in that regard. But a little larger battery compartment on the DT-03 and the possibility for removing some foam inserts, and that will make room for much larger batteries than on the DT-02. That being said, you still have to check your dimensions. A big 3S hard case battery like this won't go anywhere near a DT-02 or 03 without heavily modifying your chassis with some creativity. And that brings us back to a motor upgrade for the second segment here. And for the 10th time, I think, if you want to use your Tamiya ERC and you want to go further than a black can sport tuned or a motor with a 25 turn limit. And that being said, I think there's also notes from Tamiya that if you use any other brand than Tamiya, you will break the warranty of your ERC. But that being said, I have seen people having great success running the Tamiya ERCs with lesser turn than 25 or higher RPM motors than the sport tuned black can. But again, I have also seen people complaining that their ERC have died when they are breaking the warranty. So if you wanna try, be my guest, but you will definitely run it at your own risk and you will break the warranty. The best option is still a brushed ERC from another brand that can perhaps even take LiPos and that perhaps even is rated to a lesser turn or higher RPM. But you can definitely get your vehicle going with LiPos and brushed motors with or without breaking the Tamiya warranty and with or without doing it at your own risk. Now, if you want to upgrade your DT-02 and 03 in terms of top speed, acceleration, punch and battery consumption time, runtime, there's also of course the option of going brushless. Now this is a TBLM-02S 10.5 turn that comes in a fancy box like this. It's an expensive motor, but you can also of course choose other brands. If you want to use the included TBLM-02 or the TBLE-02S ESC included in a lot of at least the DT-03s, for the 10.5 turn I think it's around 3300 kV motor. Without breaking the warranty, you will need a fan here and you will need to use the 17-tooth pinion gear, otherwise the gear ratio going over the Tamiya specifications. But you can of course do everything else on your own risk. I think a 10.5 turn or a 3300 is, yeah, the maximum that this little buggy, it definitely quickens up, especially with the 17-tooth pinion, so it accelerates very fast. But yeah, it will also push your back end here down and your front end, light front end up, and you will definitely get a lot of understeer and trouble about keeping the tires on the ground. But for some fun off-road runs, it's definitely worth it. I see a lot of people running with them with 13.5 or 12 turn motors and the 19-tooth pinion here, and that's definitely also an option. If you want to use your TPLMO or TPLE-02 ERC that is included in a lot of the kits, you need a sensor cable too, and you definitely do not want to go below 10.5 turn, and maybe even with the 10.5 turn you need the fan and you need the 17-tooth pinion. But you decide where your limit is. There's definitely a chance of breaking everything when you increase the speeds. You increase the chance of crashes and you increase the chance of serious crashes. But a brushless system like this will definitely get you up in speed and acceleration and punch, and definitely also save a little battery with the brushless motors. Again, if you want to increase that top speed, you definitely want to have a quicker motor than a 15.5 turn or a 16 turn. This is a 16 turn Tamiya TPLMO1. It's non-censored, so you need a Tamiya ERC or another ERC. I got a TPLE-01 ERC here. And even with the 19 turn or 19 tooth pinion and this 16 turn brushless motor, it will perhaps bring you in about the same top speed as with a sport tuned or torque tuned motor. So don't get the turn or the 16 turn or the 23 turn specification of brushed motors and brushless motors mixed up. They have nothing in common. And if you really want to go for a motor, always look for the KV rating, because the turn radio has absolutely nothing to do with a brushless setup. But a 3000 or a 3500 kV motor will definitely get you up in speed. If you go below that, you will definitely start hitting the same top speed as with a torque tuned motor or a sport tuned motor with a 19 tooth pinion. But there are other benefits with the brushless system, and that is perhaps the battery consumption rate, and you will get some benefits out of it. But yeah, if you want to increase the top speed, then you definitely will look into a 13.5 turn or a 10.5 turn, and that is a good and maximum speed for some off-road runs with your DT-02 and 03. Now again, if you reach kV ratings of above 3500 kV, or maybe brushed motors or brushless motors of over 20,000 RPMs, it just starts to get a bit silly. But if you want to go silly, and if you want to go silly fast, the only option for you with your DT-02 and 03 is some more RPM in your motors. You have a limit of a 19 turn or 19 tooth pinion, and that will limit your gear ratio. But you can, of course, if you want to go crazy fast and have some fun with some speed runs, go higher than the 3500 or kV or the 20,000 RPM. In this, for an example, I got a Carson Dragster 3 brushless system, a Tamiya Eurocup, and I think this is an 8-turn motor with an RPM rating of 3400 RPM and 4700 kV. So even with a 2S LiPo, I think I rated this to above 60 kilometers an hour. And you can of course increase the turn ratio or the kV ratio or RPM of your motor. This is a 6-turn. I someday will try this with a 3S battery, and that will be totally ridiculous, but yeah, a lot of fun. Let's move on to a talk about durability, weak spots and ways to reinforce your DT-02 or 03. In short, I think the 02 and 03 are definitely not one of the worst Tamiya releases when it comes to durability. The gears are definitely strong enough. I have never broken any gears when using the steel pinion, so the whole gearbox is plastic gears, apart from the internal spider and bevel gears in the diffs that are metal, but I have had no personal problems with my gears. So in my opinion, based on my personal experiences, both the 02 and 03 are both quite durable entry-level cars. The bumper and A-arms here are made of a type of flexible, strong plastic, and they definitely won't break easily. You can get alloy arms, both front and rear, but in my personal opinion, they will just weigh down the buggy and create perhaps some weak spots in the suspension mount system and on the chassis. So on all my buggies, 02s and 03s, I have left the A-arms in the stock plastic. I have changed the upper wishbone here, the upper A-arm here, on my upgraded units, but for other reasons than durability, which I will get into later on. On the 02, I definitely think that we'll just remove the body so I can show it a bit more clearly. The bulkhead here has proven the most not durable item on the car part. So the bulkhead is part of the shock tower here, so this is all one piece. And as you can imagine, and maybe you can see, these are made of a type of hard brittle plastic, but they are quite exposed in the front system here, so any serious crashes here will either break one of the shock towers or maybe even the bulkhead here. So I have seen a lot of attempts to improve the durability of both the bulkhead and the towers here. Myself, I have used sometimes a rod end here that will just connect from here to here and hold it together and make the arms or the shock towers arms a bit stronger. And I've also seen attempts to make some creative ideas with some metal reinforcement parts, but there are, as far as I know, no real upgrades available for these that will make your DT-02 bulkhead and front tower extremely durable. So either think of some creative ideas or expect to change out this bulkhead and front shock tower sometimes. I think the same can be almost said about the 03. The shock tower, front shock tower here, is made of a brittle type of plastic, the same type of plastic that the chassis is made of. And this one, I have definitely never broken it myself, but I've heard about others breaking this front shock tower or some of the mounting parts for it. But it's an easier replacement than the 02 because it's not part of a giant bulkhead itself. But it might be a bit expensive because this is also part of the gray parts tree, so you can't get this part by itself. But yeah, again, expect maybe to change out these shock towers and bulkheads of both the 02 and 03 from time to time. And there are other parts on the 02 and 03 that are made of this type of brittle plastic, and I'll just remove a wheel from the 02 so you can see yourself, but it's the same parts as is used for the 03. So wheels off, you can see the C-hub here in the front and the upright in the front here for the steering and the wheel axle. The C-hub, the black part here, is made of a brittle type of plastic, and I have definitely broken a fair share on numbers of these C-hubs. I've also heard about others that have been running their 02s and 03s for many years and have never broken the C-hub, but I can just tell that I have definitely broken a fair share of these C-hubs. I've also heard about people breaking these uprights here, and if we go to the knuckle arms in the rear, I've definitely also heard about people with the molded cracks here that are starting to wear out. You can see a part of them here, and these might also not last the rest of your life. And again, we got the 12mm hex, and as always with these, it's just a good idea to change the 12mm hex for an alloy type of kind that will definitely last longer. Now the standard drive shaft here, or dog bone wheel shaft here, has definitely also been known to break. These are all plastic and plastic and plastic with some metal pins in the end. But if you want to go real brushless with a lot of power and lipo power and everything, it might be a good idea to change these out. But for standard running, the every now and then running with not too powerful motors, these will definitely last a long time. Wheels off of one of my 02 upgraded units. You can see the upright from 3 Racing and the C-hub from 3 Racing and the alloy pin here from, I think this is a GPM, and then 3 Racing knuckle arms. And then again we got some upgraded CVDs, or not CVDs, universal axles here with a steel outdrive from the diff. So if you want to go crazy, you can definitely start by changing these knuckle arms and C-hubs and uprights and the dog bones here for some more efficient power. This will deliver the power definitely in more fluent ways than the dog bone, and I think these will definitely hold up better than the stock ones. But again, yeah, the C-hubs is the only thing that I have had really trouble with, but again, I've heard about others not having trouble with this. On my 03 I got the same system from GPM, and I'm sure there are plenty of other options available if you want to change them out to metal. You can of course also get the uprights and everything in black powdered aluminium here, if you want them to blend in more nicely with the stock black plastic. So the GPM uprights and C-hubs and knuckle arms on the 03 here have proven just as durable as the 3 Racing here. Here we got the 3 Racing shock tower that definitely is supposed to be a little more durable than the front bulkhead of the 02. I got an alloy bulkhead here with a carbon front tower here. I don't think these carbon front towers will last very long if you're running around in skate parts or everything, and there's definitely some parts inside here of the rear shock tower that are not quite durable. So definitely don't go too much length changing out the shock tower, the rear shock tower of the 02. I've never broken one, but this is also just for fun of upgrading, and you can just go as crazy as you want with these if you choose to There's something about these upgrade projects that get out of hands, and that's perfectly fine because, well, it's just fun upgrading. But if you're looking for durability, I suggest keeping the stock front towers and everything, and these are quite expensive. These brakes, these are on the 03. That's actually a Tamiya part that you can buy separately, also the rear here. But if these parts start breaking, these are definitely more expensive, and I haven't had very good experiences with the carbon towers or chassis and everything. But it's up to you how far you want to go. So we're getting to the wheels and tires as the number 4. Now, some of the DT-02s and 03s are supplied with these Astral wheels. In my personal opinion, these are the most hideous Tamiya tire or wheels that have ever been made. And when it comes to off-road capability, these wide front tires absolutely do no good off-roading. They are pretty much useless. They don't dig into anything. If you want to run it on tarmac, they might be fine and quite durable, but if you want to do a lot of off-road and want to have a precise steering, then you're definitely looking for another set of front tires. My favorite for front tires are definitely these ripped front tires from Tamiya themselves. I actually think the first 02 was supplied with this set, the Super Fighter, but just in yellow. But yeah, with the Star Dish wheels here, I love the looks of these. I've got them both in white and black, and with these ripped front tires, I think they both look stunning, and you definitely get a lot of good grip and dig down into the grass or dirt with these front tires. So you can check your personal unit to see which one your model was supplied with. If you got these and you're running a lot on tarmac and asphalt, I think you're good to go. But if you're running a lot off-road, I think you need to consider if you want to be changing them out for these that will definitely improve your steering and your bite in the grass and in the dirt. For the rear tires, I can definitely say that these two types from Tamiya is just for the shelf for me anyway. Hate is a very strong word, but on dirt and on loose dirt and on grass and everything, they are absolutely useless. They do okay on tarmac, but they wear out very quickly. And in my idea or my world, these are made for a type of track, clay track or something. And if you're running your DT-02 and 03 on clay tracks, they might be fine. I would love some feedback on that, but everywhere else on loose dirt and off-road conditions, grass and everything, they are absolutely horrible in my opinion. For the rear tires, I am a bit boring, but I absolutely love the stock tires that most of these DT-02s and 03s are supplied with. So the spiked tires here, definitely want to change these out for visual purposes, but the tires themselves are my definitely favorite. They are good on loose dirt and they are good on grass, and yeah, they just have a good grip and bite. And yeah, if you're running on tarmac or anything else, you might want to consider changing them out because they can wear out pretty fast on tarmac or asphalt. But on off-road conditions, these are great. You can buy foam inserts if you want to, but I just in general run them just like they come in the kits without any foam inserts. And yeah, if you're running brushless systems or more powerful batteries, you might want to glue these ones up. But yes, since I'm not the wealthiest person on the earth, and since I have almost 10 DT-01s, 02s and 03s, I keep a couple of sets of my favorite and just change them around a bit. So we got the black starches with the good front rib tires and the stock spiked here on a DT-01 gearbox Grasshopper 2 chassis here, and we got the white ones here on a DT-01. So in my opinion, this is the best setup. There are definitely other options available. I see a lot of people putting on Schumacher tires on everything, but for me, average hobbyist, I definitely think that these types of front wheels and tires and rear wheels and rear tires are definitely perfect for me. Moving back to the talk about the upper arms. So as you can see, these are non-adjustable, quite durable. You do have an option of adjusting your toe in and toe out on both the DT-02 and 03 with the stock setup here, just a rod in, but these are the type that you need to take off and spin and put on again if you want to adjust your toe in and toe out. For me, that's perfectly fine because I definitely do not adjust them every now and then. I do it once in a while. But yeah, for the upper arms you definitely need some turnbuckles or some other metal rod pins to make some adjustments for the camber, negative or positive camber. The Desert Gator and the Sand Wiper here already comes with some adjustable single upper arms here that you can adjust the camber. It's always a bit difficult to show on camera because the perspective changes all the way. But what you're looking for is a bit of camber inside here so it won't roll over as easily. And if you want to run on tracks and everything, you're probably looking for a bit of toe out to improve the steering. But if you want to go make your buggy go straight, then you're looking for a bit of toe in here. And of course you can get some real turnbuckles here that allows you to do the adjustments while the arm is sitting on the buggy. These are from the MS edition, both on the 02 and 03, but complete sets are available for both the 02 and 03. They are different because the servo is located in the middle here and the servo is mounted differently on the 02. So yeah, the arms here, the upper turnbuckles on both the 02 and 03 are exactly the same, but these steering linkages are different from the 02 and 03. And finally, I think I'm soon running out of voice and breath. We're getting to the final part that includes upgrading your servo and radio. So for torque and response and speed of the servo, you can definitely use a lot of money upgrading your servo from a standard 0.2 S seconds or 3 kilogram servo to something else. On the 02 here, the DT-02 MS, I have a rather expensive Sanva servo. It's digital and it's definitely a lot faster than the standard ones that sometimes come in the price range of $10 or 10 euros. I think this one cost again the same as a standard DT-03 kit, or definitely more expensive than a standard DT-03 kit, but you definitely do not need to go absolutely crazy. So about the kilograms, the torque that your servo can have, I can recommend going up in specs from the 3 kilogram to maybe a 6 kilogram servo or even an 8 kilogram servo. So these can be nowadays had fairly cheap, the digital ones with a 6 or 8 kilogram, and what you might want to look into more than the kilogram is the speed. So this is an 0.07, I think. I got another one here in the box. What does it say? 0.07 seconds with 60 degree. So that's definitely fast enough, and the kilograms are specified to 8.2 kilograms for the 6 volt. So definitely fast enough, and I think I paid around 16-17 euros for this. So this is about maybe $20 US. So a lot of cheap digital ones available nowadays, and you definitely don't need to go crazy or beyond the $20 mark to get a good decent servo with a lot of speed. For the DT-02, I think you can just spot the upgrade here for the alloy servo mount here. And yeah, the stock ones come in plastic, and they're made of a very soft plastic, so if you're not careful with back threading your servo mounts and everything, you can mess up easily the thread on the plastic ones. But an upgrade I would recommend only if you destroy the threads on your plastic stock ones, or you also can repair the thread on your plastic mounts here. I have had no real issues with these, and yeah, I think these 02 servo mounts are pretty much just for the show. The same goes for the DT-03 servo mount. I haven't even upgraded this one. I see absolutely no reason why, other than the bling factor and the fun of upgrading. But what you might want to look into is some way to secure the servo saver on the DT-03. This can fall out. I have seen people put thread lock on these because these are mounted in this way, so you can, and I have tried losing the screw and getting it all loose, but that is up to you. If you experience some problems, I've seen people thread locking the screw on the servo saver. And yes, of course you can get, for both the DT-02 and 03, you can get the high torque black servo saver from Tamiya, but I would definitely recommend a higher kilogram servo than the standard ones on 3 kilogram, so you won't mess up your servo. So a high torque servo saver for a high torque servo. Radio wise, as I said in the last part 1, I definitely think these cheap ones are a good choice, as long as they have some dual rates. They will do the job in 2 channels, but if you want to save your settings and maybe have some options for endpoint adjustments, that means you can set the one tire slightly different than the other tire, or make that kind of adjustments and have them saved, so you don't have to reset everything manually every time. There's definitely a lot of options available. I know FlySky makes some very cheap ones, and these Sanwa middle range, the MXV and the MX6, are definitely also a good choice if you want to save your settings for your 03 or 02 or any type of RC you have. That's it, folks. I'm running out of time, out of breath, out of voice, and I probably forgot a lot of things, but you can always supply the extra information yourself in the comment section. I would definitely love to hear about your setup, motor wise or upgrade wise, or anything about your DT-02 and 03, and I would definitely love some comments about the things I have said, if you have some corrections or some additional information, if you disagree or agree. But that was my take on a complete DT-02-03 overview of upgrades, and I think there's just one thing more to say: an upgrade project can last forever. I will start changing the setup on these and just have fun adjusting my DT-02 and 03. So the project never ends, and you can go as crazy as you want. So as crazy as you want, as long as it doesn't break your budget, or definitely as long as it makes you happy. So there's value beyond the performance, and that's the value of the project itself. So if you want, you can change everything out to alloy or gold or everything and just have fun with it, and don't let anybody discourage you from doing something that just isn't performance-wise very clever. So if everything was about performance, I would definitely get some race track buggies, and instead of these entry-level buggies, and the project itself is what is rewarding when it comes to upgrading your DT-02 and 03. Running time is just as important, but performance-wise, yeah, everything that makes you smile and makes you happy is a great project. That was one of the final remarks on this upgrade project with the DT-02 and 03. I will start changing the specs and everything on these on this channel, but for more TTTs or a lot more waffling, I suggest you go subscribe to my Nordic hobby visions. And if you definitely want to avoid these waffling videos, don't subscribe to the Nordic hobby visions. But for now, yeah, I will focus on some projects, the TT-02B, and getting some of my Tamiya projects finished with painting the bodies and everything, and that will be on this channel, but definitely without long waffling scenarios. Okay, that's it. Take care, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed this video. For those who are looking for some advices on the 02 and 03 upgrades, happy hobby days, and as always, keep them running.